everybody, and welcome to the Malibu Pacific Church podcast. Hey, if you haven't listened to this past week's sermon yet, I highly suggest to go listen to that so that this podcast makes a little more sense. But I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. It's me, Joel.
I'm Andy. Hey, everybody. How you doing, Joel?
Hey, I'm doing really well, man.
Good.
It's Thanksgiving week, which means it's the middle of the Christmas season.
For you. If you haven't heard that all week, the last couple of weeks, Joel likes Christmas.
Yes.
Just like
Surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any cool things happening for you for Thanksgiving?
Yeah. We're heading to the desert, and all our kids are going to join us.
Oh,
and
so fun.
we're going to have a Thanksgiving all together. It's going to be great. Yeah.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, this last week we had our one-off series called Thankful. And I just got to say, you brought the heat, man. You brought the heat. I know you're smiling right now too, but it was you.
I had several people say that.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're saying it, but I didn't feel like. Yeah, there was a little energy behind it.
Yeah, no, it was very. You always preach from a passionate standpoint, but it was just one of those. Man, you just kept going over the grateful part. Grateful, be grateful. Just be great. You have to be grateful. You got to experience grateful. If you don't, then you're not going to be experiencing thankfulness. You're not going to be experiencing joy. And I think that is just a great reminder because you put yourself in. It was like a vulnerable spot. I know preaching is, but like you're talking about yourself in that regard. And then like all of a sudden it just went so amazingly well because I think people took.
I got to go back and listen.
Dude, no, people really took it to heart too because it wasn't just like a preach down to somebody. Yeah. It was a preach alongside with.
That's good.
Which you do really well. So yeah. So going into this Thankful series, what was kind of going through your brain to go to these scriptures?
I've been feeling it for about 6 months that I've been losing the joy of gratefulness, or without gratefulness, you do lose the joy. And I'm like, forgot it and need to be reminded. And as I was looking into it, I was like, wow, I didn't even get into that. I got lost also with Townsend, who wrote, some of the ideas are from Townsend, who wrote Boundaries books. So if you don't have that book yet, you need to go get it. It's the Bible, the classic book that was 25 years old. And he gets into the physiological rewards of being grateful. Mm-hmm. When we're grateful, it literally changes the dynamics in our brain. We get a dopamine hit. Mm-hmm. It changes how we feel, everything about us. He said it's amazing the studies they've done on the brain when people are grateful.
Yeah.
So I didn't get into it. I'm not an expert in any of that. For those brain surgeons out there, you can maybe explain it to us. But again, if you want to change how you're feeling, what's going on in your life, your mental health, start being grateful. It brings joy. And so anyway, yeah, I just thought, we've been pushing hard. I've been worried about 2 services. And it's like launching something new. And in the midst of all the push, I feel like I was losing, the joy of being grateful or being grateful. Yeah. So I was preaching to me.
I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that because it definitely came across a way of an honesty and vulnerability that was really awesome from a great leader. So thank you.
Wow.
It's a good way to just model that for people too. Like, hey,
I mess up too. I lost it. So yeah.
You do? But you're a pastor.
I'm with you. No, I am, but I'm also just a human being who needs to be reminded as well. And I'm on a journey with you. Mm-hmm. I heard a statement. It might have been Instagram. That's where I get all my news.
It's all real.
I think, I know. But I loved, it was just a post that said, we're all just trying to help in church.
Yeah.
It was about church, what we're doing in the church. We're all just trying to help each other get home.
Ooh.
I loved that. Mm-hmm. That's really the journey.
Yeah.
So I think we need to think about that with any kind of marketing or strategy. We're always thinking of tweaking and making things better around here. So I just love that.
Yeah.
That just means we're coming alongside each other. And the reason why I say that is that's how I feel, is we are all just trying to help each other get home
Mhm.
and help other people get home into a relationship with Jesus.
Yep.
So anyway, that was,
So why are there so many side quests then inside of church? Like things that will pull us away from the mission critical.
yeah, I think, that's why I brought up Numbers 14
Mhm.
with Moses.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't that amazing how they were delivered from Egypt?
Yep.
And I'm answering the question. They were provided food. They were taken care of. They
Yep.
saw the incredible miracles that God did. And he calls them, you're my people. You're my children. I'm going to love you. I'm going to take care of you. And I'm taking you to the promised land.
Mm-hmm.
And how quickly we all forget what God did. And let's go back to Egypt. So they kept, that passage says fear. They just kept fearing. We might get killed. We might get, something might happen. And it's like, you're out in the desert. I don't know. There's nothing around. Fear.
Yeah.
Fear.
Uh-huh. Something could happen, but you're not going to
Maybe.
stop living life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it
Like,
could.
But we
There
should.
is good fear. Like,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a snake there. Yeah, I should be afraid, maybe.
Yeah.
Or
Don't touch the fire.
don't mess with fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are absolutely. God
Yeah.
gave us fear to protect us,
Mhm.
but a fear that's keeping us from trusting God, I would just say that is the opposite of what God wants. So,
Mhm.
And want what's best for us. So, where does that come from? I don't know. It's forgetting. To be grateful means you need to look back.
Mhm.
And that's what I love about the story of the man with leprosy. And he was the one out of the 10 that came back.
Mhm.
He came back to thank the one who healed him so he could go forward.
Mm.
So thankfulness is actually remembering what somebody has done or what you're thankful for,
Mhm.
going back and expressing it so that you can continue to move forward.
Mm.
This is just me, one piece. This is me talking here as far as they forgot to be grateful for all the things that God had done. And what fills the gap
Yeah.
is fear.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, in church world, I think there's 100 different reasons why, excuse me, why. We go sideways in the local church
Mm.
because we've created such a structure that it's become more like a business.
Mhm.
And we've talked about this before versus a family.
Gotcha.
And when I talk to church leaders or I talk to boards in churches or even our board, it's a mind shift. You can literally see their minds kind of go, oh,
Mhm.
I thought the church was more like a business. That's
Mhm.
how we're trying to run it. Like, no, that would be like me coming home with an Excel sheet and asking my wife, okay, how many dishes did you do tonight? Did you succeed? How many dishes she did, and me checking in on an Excel sheet with my wife.
Yeah.
Do you know how well that would go and how long that would go? Go ahead and sleep on the couch.
We want to see bigger earnings in quarter 2.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So, Kelly, we're going to need to double the amount of dishes you've washed and
Absolutely.
how many times you
yeah, really ramp up
clean
to
the shit.
quarter
Yeah, we're
3.
going to need to ramp this
Yeah.
up. So, and church world is a bit tricky because you need to make sure you know what you're measuring
Mm.
and what is success.
Yeah.
We have thought, how many are attending on Sunday morning and what's your budget? How well are you doing with your money is everything.
Yeah.
But the ultimate goal is to go and make disciples, Matthew 28. So how well are we loving one another? I mean,
Yeah.
let me give you a goal I've been thinking about for Stuart, a youth pastor, is a goal for us is how well did we do putting an anchor in a kid's heart, a student's heart, so that when they leave home and they leave their high school, they go to a church where they're going to school or working on a trade and finding a church and serving at that church.
Yes.
That's the win.
That's the win.
So we're measuring, how many did you have Sunday morning? And
Yeah.
I believe God has a different win
Hmm.
for us. How well are we loving each other? How are we doing in taking steps and following Jesus? How are we doing in growing our faith?
Yeah.
How are we becoming more like Jesus? Measure that,
Yeah.
those things. Because the Sunday morning, just to let you know, I mean, pastors really feel like they're in a lose-lose. If we're just measuring Sunday morning,
Mhm.
I don't control that.
Yeah.
that's dependent on the people to invite their friends.
Absolutely.
Well, how many are you going to have here next year?
Yeah.
What's our goal?
How many did you invite, Andy,
many- yeah.
for this Sunday? Did you invite everybody?
I invited everybody.
Yeah.
We're completely dependent on
Yeah.
people inviting their friends to church.
Yes.
So we will create the environments. We'll
Mhm.
make it a safe place that you can invite your friends. And we hear that all the time here.
Absolutely.
I know that that's a church I can invite my friends to.
Yeah.
So, anyway, be careful what you measure,
Absolutely.
because that's the win.
All right. So measurements inside of the local church. If you could have your top 3 measurements, number 1, I think, is discipleship.
Yes.
What would number 2 be?
Discipleship.
No,
Discipleship.
discipleship, not donut intake.
No. I think how well are we doing in making disciples? It is the key. I love what we're starting to do here. This is inside information with John Mark Comer, Practicing the Way. I know that he's up at Vintage in Santa Monica, and he's one of the communicators. I think he just spent 4 weeks doing his own series. We have the book, or you get the book, Practicing the Way.
Yeah.
But it's really great, and be on the lookout for that. I'm going to be doing a group that's practicing the way and going through the 8 things that steps that we need to take to help grow our faith, and what does it mean to follow Jesus.
That's awesome.
And really, that's discipleship. And so,
And that's happening in the new year?
it's happening in the new year. So be on the lookout for that early in the morning, probably Tuesday morning at 7:00. So just be on the lookout for that.
Awesome.
But those are the things to measure. And, how well am I doing with my quiet time and spending time with Jesus? How well am I doing in my prayer life? How well am I doing fasting, spending a whole day not eating, but in prayer? How well am I doing with the Sabbath, taking a day off? So those are the practices, letting Scripture be an authority in my life. What does that look like? That I'm applying God's word in everything that I do. So that, there's 9 practices there, and those are the things that I want to measure. As you go through the book, Practicing the Way, he's not writing anything new. He's just written in such a way that it's understandable and clear that,
Totally.
here's 9 ways,
Yeah.
So that's, those are the things to measure. Yeah. And really, what is spiritual maturity? Jesus defines spiritual maturity on how well we're loving one another. So that's the measurement at the end of the day. Yeah.
I like that. Oh my gosh.
Now for us, practically is what are the steps that we're helping people take? This isn't the end all. This doesn't mean you're spiritually mature, but it does show something.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we look at here at the church is, are you in a small group?
Yeah.
Because that's the place that we're loving one another. That's where belonging happens. That's where accountability is happening. That is where you're caring for one another. So there's 21 one another's in the New Testament from the Apostle Paul. So small group, are you in a small group? It doesn't mean you're spiritually mature, but it means that you've committed to a group of people who are speaking into you and you're helping somebody else.
Yeah.
Giving, and we don't care about the amount. Is somebody giving $1 and then next year they gave 2? Well, they doubled their faith in God. That's a win. But giving is a reflection of our hearts. Wherever your treasure is, there is your heart. So God wants our heart. So there's that. Serving. 1 Corinthians 12, Romans 12, we've all been given a gift for the body. And if we're not using the parts of the body or exercising, or if my finger isn't being used or connected to the body, it's gross. A Christian who's not connected to the body of Christ is gross. It's like a finger that got cut off and it's placed somewhere. So, don't be gross. It's kind of funny, but
bumper sticker coming soon.
Bumper sticker, yeah. So if you're serving, does that mean you're spiritually mature? No, but they are some concrete things on the dashboard that we can look at and go, something's going on in that person's life. They are taking some steps.
Absolutely.
It's not meant to be religious. It just, you see some fruit.
Yeah.
And Jesus says that. Is there any fruit from the tree? When we're connected to Jesus, we should see some fruit in our hearts and our lives. So, and being expressed. So that's, those are some of the measurements.
Yeah.
That might be new for some people. Those are And then the last one, the fourth one is, are you investing and inviting in your friends? We did the whole for your neighbor.
Yes.
And that was the idea. We never said that, but we did a barbecue thing saying, hey, invite your neighbors over. People in Malibu don't know each other. Invite one neighbor.
Yep.
And invest in them. A friendship.
Yeah.
And then one day, maybe a year or two, but I think those deposits of friendship or being for our neighbor, someday your neighbor would say, I've been seeing on social media that church you attend. Can I go with you? Actually, you'd be surprised. And they trust you because you built a relationship with them.
Oh, yeah. I've experienced firsthand in our Seminole Springs community. I mean, we had barbecues every Friday night, which was incredible during the summer. And now it's like to the point of you're walking around the neighborhood just saying hi. They're asking, how's the church going? And on top of that, I mean, it's funny because even like I needed to borrow a ladder and I put it out there in our community chat, and all of a sudden 10 different people.
Ladder.
I got 10 ladders, and they're like, we would love to help you out, Joel. Thanks so much and I'm just like, wow, like when you really put that change in the pocket with people too, and it's not just fake for like your own sake, but to be like, hey, we collectively want to get home, right? We're helping each other get home.
Yeah, that's right.
Then the world is just a better place.
Yeah. So investing and inviting in your friends is a sign that you care about lost people, your neighbors.
Yeah.
That's the story of the Good Samaritan. So you care. And so the fourth one is to invest and invite.
Yeah.
So we have killed all programs here. The only thing we have is really a Sunday morning during the Sunday, or you can watch online or at any time, or go to a small group during the week.
Yep.
We're not asking you to come to any other committee meetings. And quarterly, we're doing these mid-sized group events where people can become friends. We're trying to get people out of the pews, out of the seats, and connect with each other and start to become friends.
Totally.
It's not heavy on Jesus. It's not heavy preaching. It's just, hey, we're just building relationships.
Let's cook some meat. Let's throw an axe. Let's throw a bowling ball.
Yeah. But the goal after that is not to just say, hey, we had fun. You made some relationships, built some friendships. Really, you want more of that? Yeah, I do. Okay, small groups is actually your next step.
We do that weekly in small groups.
And we do that weekly. That's right.
Yeah.
So we do small groups, just a couple things there. We do small groups. Hopefully, most of the small groups, we encourage this. Let me just say that. 3 out of 4 weeks. If you do it 2 out of 4 and somebody misses 1 week, you only saw them once that month. So it's hard to build any relational cred with them. So somebody always misses. So doing 3 out of 4, we always suggest skipping 1 week or give the group a 4th week off or go hang out or have a barbecue. We also close our small groups. Yeah. We do have some open groups and small groups.
Yeah.
They just have very different dynamics. We have them both. I would say an open group is meaning anybody can show up any day, anytime, invite your friend.
Yeah.
Closed groups, there's 8 to 12 that said, this is our group. We're not inviting anybody else into our small group. And we close that group for a year and a half, typically to 2 years. Because whenever you add a new person into the group, it's like starting back to day one. Because the other 10 are like, who are these new people?
Yep.
And we don't know them. And if you spent a year together sharing life, sharing your story, the new people come in, have no idea. Bonding is happening.
Totally.
And trust is happening.
Yeah, big trust.
We find that it takes about 6 months to a year for that trust to develop. And then you start really opening up.
Yep.
And then the groups after 2 years, we multiply. Say, take those 6 and take these 6 and add 6 to those groups. So we're in the beginning process of that happening. It took us 2 years with Amy, who does our discipleship small groups, about 2 years to, I was like, what is she doing? Well, she spent a lot of time. She's not in her office. She must not be working. No, she was spending a lot of time with coffees with people. And figuring out who are our small group leaders, training them, preparing them.
Yeah.
So we went from 4 small groups to 17 small groups.
Huge win.
That took 2 years.
Yep.
And now, think about it. Let's just go 15. In 2 years, multiply those groups.
Yep.
So we'll go from 15 to 30.
Yep.
Now we're multiplying.
Totally.
But laying that foundation is really, really hard.
Yep.
I don't know how I got into small groups all of a sudden, but that's a form of spiritual discipleship.
Absolutely.
There.
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah. I think our tactics and strategy for small groups, I think it's brilliant. And on top of that, Amy's just crushing 17 small groups. I know in my small group, I absolutely love it. Shout out to Christine and Tom. They're just the best.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So,
really are.
oh my gosh, they are incredible. And it's just such a great time to get to know more people inside of small groups. So if you're not a part of a small group, please, you don't know what you're missing out on. Sign up.
Well,
for a
that
small
brings
group.
joy, really,
Yeah.
at the end of the day. It's you have a group of people that you're helping each other to go home.
Mhm.
You're encouraging one another.
Yeah.
Encouragement is the oxygen of the soul. So, I mean, speaking of thankfulness, which we've been talking about, if you're ungrateful and unthankful, I also would take a close look at the people you're hanging out with.
Ooh.
Are they being critical? Are they grumblers? Are they complainers?
Mhm.
Because that has a way of spreading.
Mhm.
It's that negativity.
Yeah.
So a question I would ask is the people, after you spend time with people,
Yeah.
do you feel more energized by being with them or do you feel drained by them?
Totally.
There's some people I walk away from going, that they wore me out.
Mm.
I don't want to spend any more time with them.
Yeah.
You're just negative.
Yeah.
You're wondering why you
Totally.
don't have friends. If you
Yeah.
don't have friends, take a look at yourself.
That is a big one.
And start being grateful and a thankful and an encourager.
Mhm.
It will come back to you.
Mhm.
And you sow what you reap. Reap what you sow, however way that goes. I always
Both.
however way that goes. Yeah. So gratitude also has the potential of spreading like wildfire.
Yeah.
It has a potential, I said it at the end, to change a family, to change a church, to change a business, change a community, to change our nation.
Yeah.
Imagine if every Christian in the United States had gratitude, was thankful,
Yeah.
and expressed it to everybody. It has the potential to change everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really does. And if you're having a hard time finding that gratitude in this season or the thankfulness in this season, I highly suggest to find somebody to talk to. I think that is a really key resource. Whether that's somebody here at the church, small group leader,
Get into a small group.
yeah, a little
Just get into a
therapy, a
small
little
group.
just something, like I'm telling you, your life will change for the better with
Yeah.
that. You have a place to not do life alone. Wow, this is really good, Andy. And we're going into the Christmas season, bonus Christmas, I like to call it.
Super excited. It's going to be good. Talking about fear.
Yeah.
Fear not. It's the one
Fear
thing
not.
that kept it. Well, I don't know if you or I brought it up, at least with numbers, you
Yeah.
know, with the Israelites were afraid.
Yeah.
Well, they were also afraid. Isn't that interesting? I'm just thinking out loud here. That before God blesses, before God does something, we're in the process of God doing something, the reaction at first is fear.
Mm,
So God's breaking into history to bring us salvation, the Messiah, and everybody was afraid.
mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. We're okay with dysfunction and unhealthy. And I said it on Sunday because we feel comfortable with it even.
Mm,
Versus the new and the healthy
mhm.
and moving forward and experiencing something different, our first reaction is I'm out of control. And so I feel like,
Yeah.
I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So we're talking about fear. I think there's still a lot of fear out there. I hear it. I hear people say it. And we as a church, I've heard people say it quite a bit. I'm afraid of this, afraid of that, afraid of the future, afraid of what might happen. And everything that was happening with politics and just uncertainty. You know what? Let's hit it head on. Let's talk about it
Ooh, that's
again.
good. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
That is really good. It's going to be a great Christmas season. And on top of that, Snow Much Fun is right around the corner.
Oh,
It
don't
is
miss
a
it.
party for all ages and stages of life.
Well, we already have 250 signed
250
up.
signed up.
I mean, I think we can handle about 500, so we're halfway there. And I would sign up. It will sell out.
Yeah, we're 2 weeks out. So, and Malibu tends to sign up the day
the
of.
week of, the day of. It happens.
It happens, and that's
It's kind
okay.
of like youth camp.
Yeah. It's like, we got to sell these spots back. Nope. We now have a waiting list.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we want to make sure that you're on that list, whether as you just want to attend with your neighbors, your loved ones, your family, or if you want to serve at it, we need 50 plus people serving.
Yeah.
And because this is one of our biggest reach outs to the community. And the community absolutely loves it. It's our second annual.
Well, where else
So
can you
much
have
fun.
snow and look at the ocean?
I mean, seriously.
Help me out.
Yeah, come on. It's Malibu, baby.
Snow and the
Yeah.
beach. Look at the ocean down there while I'm sledding.
Totally. And
Yeah.
eating free food and merriment. I mean, we turned this place into a theme park. It's incredible. I love it. Oh my gosh. It's a love letter to the community as well. So sign up for that. And then Christmas Eve services happening on Christmas Eve at 4:30 and 6 o'clock. You can register for those. Just let us know where you're coming. Registration isn't mandatory. We just want to make sure we have a seat for you and whoever you're going to bring.
Yeah.
So with that said, the two resources that Andy said for this podcast is John Mark Comer's Practicing the Way, and then also Boundaries. That's by Townsend.
Henry Cloud and
Henry Cloud.
Townsend. Yeah, both of them.
Townsend.
Yeah.
Those are really great books. For any reason you having any financial issues and can't afford those books or anything, email me, Joel at MalibuPacific.church. I'd like to get you those books for free. All right. With that said, thank you so much for listening to the Malibu Pacific Church podcast. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share it with a friend. And also share the message, the sermon from this past week with a friend who needs to hear it. Because this week, let's be thankful, everybody. Sounds good? All right. Till next time.
Take
Bye.
care.